So we've got a big topic that we're discussing today, and it's a bill that is meant to make development, commercial and residential development, much easier and speedier of a process to bring in and stimulate, more of an economy for lovely Rhode Island. So in the studios today with us, we have Leader Shekarchi, and he's a representative out of Warwick, actually, my hometown right now, Warwick, and he's here with us to talk about this proposed bill. Right now in this market, we're seeing an all-time low inventory of housing, and we need housing. We need a ton of different housing, and we also need to keep stimulating our economy, and I think your bill does just that.
Well, thank you very much.
You're
And
welcome.
that was the intent of the bill. It was brought to me by the request of the Rhode Island Builders Association. I looked at it, I studied it, made some modifications. I introduced the bill. It went through the legislative process in the House, and there was a little bit of pushback from the League of Cities and Towns and some of the city and town planners. They thought there was some penalties in the bill regarding if you don't act fast enough, what happens, and there was some timetables. So we met in the middle, and we reached a compromise. But in essence, the core of the bill stayed intact, and it passed the House. I have a very good feeling that it will pass the Senate. Senate Majority Leader Mike McCaffrey is the sponsor and he's a friend of mine from Warwick in the Senate, and they had a very positive hearing on the bill last week. I expect this bill to pass and soon in the next week or so. And the intent here is, as you said, is to stimulate the economy. Everyone talks about the economy and economic development, but in reality, cities and towns have a tremendous amount of input, and no one seems to realize that regarding any kind of development, both commercial and residential. And when we approve good development, that stimulates the economy, it stimulates local tax base, it creates jobs. But as a realtor, you also recognize that the lawyer, the realtor, the title examiner, the surveyor, the plumber, the electrician, the form guy, the cement guy, the landscaping person, the wood company, the lumber company, everybody benefits when new construction happens.
Absolutely.
And I just want to clarify one thing about this bill. This bill doesn't change any of the burdens and doesn't force any city and town to approve or not approve a project.
Yep.
That same process applies. And also, the final point about the bill, kind of what the main reason is, a lot of times a project gets approved, but you cannot get that decision letter or that approval letter for weeks and weeks and weeks. And this shortens that. I mean, and that only makes sense today when we have email and we have fax machines and we have technology. And a lot of these decisions are for the most part, a form letter decision. They change the name and the address, but it's a form letter. It's kind of a standardized template they follow. So there's no reason that it should take that long to get that. And that's, when you get those projects, you can go to the bank, you can get your building permit, you can get funded, you can get underway, and you can start employing all those other people.
I read through the bill very thoroughly, and I like the fact, and I'm going to quote the bill, okay? I like the fact that in there, let me see if I can find this real quick. Okay, quote unquote, a copy of the recorded decision should be mailed within 1 business day of recording by any method that provides confirmation. Thank you for taking Rhode Island into 2017, because talk about email, fax, it all speeds up. Why not use it?
I couldn't agree with you more, because that's the way business is being conducted now, and we have to join the 21st century. We need to do this. I had another bill in that kind of mandated that they give notice to everybody, and the cities and towns were against the bill, and they said there's a cost issue, and I agreed with them, and I said to them, let's hold a bill this year, let's study it, let's come back next year, and maybe we can do a voluntary opt-in via email. So it doesn't cost anything to send one email or 1,000 emails or 10,000 emails. So we're going to continue on that same point that you looked at and see how we can modernize the land use process and the notice process to take advantage of the internet and email and technology, because everyone else is doing it. The rest of the global economy is doing it. The rest of the state economy is doing it. We have to catch up, and you can't go to a little city or town in different parts of Rhode Island and they use the process to slow you down. We need to move this development forward.
Joe, I found some really great statistics that show how new construction and development affects the economy on a very local level.
And I believe the statistics show it in a very positive way.
They do. Actually, you know what? Let's dive into that. So since 1996, the National Association of Home Builders, has been tracking this. And in 2015, they published a study that shows for every 100 homes sold, it creates $28.7 million in local income, 394 new jobs, and $3.8 million in local taxes and other revenues for local governments.
I've always believed that development, good local development, stimulates the economy in so many ways, directly and indirectly. All of the other tradesmen, all the other professionals involved in the development process. We talked about a little bit earlier, but the plumber, the landscaper, the electrician, the carpenter, the drywall guy, the foundation guy, the lawyer, the realtor, the title examiner, and even the lumber companies that sell the supplies. So everybody benefits when you have new development.
What we're going to do is we're going to show new construction versus existing homes, okay? So check this out. For every 100 homes sold that are existing, it creates 50 jobs, okay? And versus new construction, again, for every 100 homes, which creates 8 times that amount, 394 jobs. That's huge, okay? How about this? Each home sale contributes about $60,000 into the local economy.
Not surprising at all. When this bill was being heard in committee, we had some very progressive advocates come and testify in favor of it. We had some very conservative advocates come and testify because we have a shortage of housing stock in Rhode Island. And it's not only the housing, private housing, but we have a shortage of affordable housing.
Absolutely.
And we need more housing. When there's more housing in the market itself will balance itself out. So the faster we can get development, the more likely we can get development through the regulatory process, the better it is for everybody.
I totally agree with you, and that's why the Rhode Island Association of Realtors actually endorses this bill, and they actually sent me a statement to read over the air, if I may.
Please.
The Rhode Island Association of Realtors appreciates Leader Shekarchi's effort removing the red tape that hinders developers from growing our local economy and housing stock here in Rhode Island. At a time when Rhode Island's economy is turning the corner and creating new jobs, we have an opportunity to capitalize on our momentum in the real estate industry and to make it easier for developers to do business in our state. Passing H5475 sends a clear message that officials at the local and state level of government must be proactive and intentional while promoting Rhode Island as a great place to live. Rhode Island Association of Realtors looks forward to continuing to work in collaboration with Leader Shekarchi and members of the General Assembly so that Rhode Islanders have an affordable place to call home. And that was sent in from David Salvatore, who is our Government Affairs Director over at Rhode Island Association of Realtors.
That's great. I actually didn't know about that, but I appreciate the support, and that will certainly help it in the Senate, and I expect that this will hit the governor's desk shortly, and I'm confident the governor will sign the legislation into law.
But we only have 2,800 active homes on the market, single-family active homes on the market. We're literally supposed to have about 7,500 homes, okay? It's crazy.
That's, I guess good or bad, depending on your point of view. If you're a seller, that's a good thing. If you're a buyer, it's not. But as you know, the market ebbs and flows. And if we just increase the housing stock, it helps everybody. It helps stabilize the pricing. It helps giving people more choices to look for homes in the areas they want, in the school districts they want, or in the local community they want. But I think Rhode Island's on the move. I'm the eternal optimist. I think you see the announcements with Johnson & Johnson coming to Rhode Island. You see Virgin Pulse coming to Rhode Island. You see General Electric creating this brand new high-tech division headquartered here in Rhode Island. You see a lot of good activity, and every time those companies come here, those people have to have housing. So, those General Electric jobs, those are $100,000 a year jobs. So I'm happy to be part of that, and not to get off topic, because I know it's a real estate show, but I also introduced a jobs bill 3 years ago that every one of those companies that are coming to Rhode Island are using, and that's a revenue-neutral job, and what it does is it creates a tax credit back to the company for the amount of taxes the employer has paid, and it is a big and successful tool that the Commerce has been using to attract these companies to come to Rhode Island. It's revenue neutral. That credit is not given until actually they have hired that employee. He has worked for 1 year, and the taxes he's paid to the state goes back goes back to the companies in the form of a tax credit. If you talk to Stephen Pryor, the Director of Commerce, he will tell you it's the most successful program he's had since he's been in Rhode Island.
And I've actually seen a slew of buyers coming in from Massachusetts and other states. And, people are wondering, why is this happening? Well, it's also an affordability factor here in Rhode Island as well. Not only do we have, I think, the most beautiful state on the East Coast.
I will agree with you 110%.
Over 400 miles of shoreline. It's absolutely beautiful here in Rhode Island. But we also have a really diverse culture here. It's really beautiful. Some of the best food you'll ever have as well. And also lower real estate prices. So it's very attractive for somebody that was willing to pay 30-40% more for the same house in the metro Boston area to come to Rhode Island.
You get much more dollar for your home for your dollar here in Rhode Island than you would somewhere else. But also we have an airport that's expanding and growing. We have new flights there. So they have finally, reached some kind of great working relationship with the city and become a good neighbor and a good partner. The state is moving in the right direction. I'm optimistic that Rhode Island will continue to grow and prosper. And, through hard work of people like yourself and the realtors, you'll continue to sell high quality product in Rhode Island and market Rhode Island. But people don't realize when realtors are selling a home, they're also marketing the state of Rhode Island.